Hi, I'm Kevin Flanagan, Head of Fixed Income Strategy at Wisdom Tree.
And I'm Jeff Weniger, Head of Equity Strategy. And this is Minds on the Markets, where we go behind the scenes and beyond the trends to explore the forces impacting our markets. Welcome. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in here on the Wisdom Tree channel. We've been doing these Minds on the Markets recordings on YouTube since, I think, May. So we've been doing this for 2 or 3 months at this point. So make sure you like, subscribe, all that great stuff that we're doing in the social media these days so you can catch me and Kevin in the coming months as we record these every few weeks. Look, Kevin, here's the latest. This is what we're talking about when it comes to Fed criminology. Nobody does it quite like you. It is post-Independence Day at this point. We're mid-July at this juncture. Jackson Hole is coming. That is what? August 22nd to the 24th, something like that. We've got this live Fed meeting. Give me the lowdown. What's the situation?
I don't know. I'm going back to Seinfeld. Remember the episode, The Summer of George? I think this is the Summer of Jay Powell is what we're going to be seeing. We're talking to you now, right after July 4th. We have the semi-annual monetary policy testimony before Congress. To your point, we have the July FOMC meeting. We have Jackson Hole towards the end of August. We're going to be hearing and seeing a lot from the Fed chairman over the next, say, 6 to 8 weeks, which is important because, we're getting to the point now where data are coming in that are leading us towards potentially that first rate cut. The question being, is it September? And I think that's what the overall focus is at this stage of the game. And when will Powell begin to drop those hints? But more importantly, we always hear about the 2% inflation target from the Fed. We may be hearing and seeing that first rate cut before we get to 2% inflation.
And that's a big key because we have a 3 handle on CPI. But of course, we haven't released the next CPI number just yet. But this is the psychological part of it because they're using PCE, core PCE. The general public, and like me, the equity strategist, I'm looking at headline CPI, core CPI. So there's that disconnect. And we're talking about July. We're talking about getting a few prints before this. Jackson Hole has become this major event in the last 10, 20 years. That's what, 5-6 weeks from now. How do you cut rates if they've been using 2.0? That's the psychological number for so long. And we're still in the 3s on CPI. How do you do that?
Great question. And I think we have to look towards their dual mandate as well and look at the jobs report, specifically the one we just got, where you are seeing potential signs of slowing, not weakening, not falling off the cliff, but all of a sudden now the unemployment rate's 4.1%. In September at the June meeting, the Fed's target was 4%. So you are getting that little bit of a sense now that the data is going to lead Powell there. So Jackson Hole, to your point, has almost become an intra-meeting for the Fed. That's how important it's becoming. And Powell has shown in the past a tendency to lead or guide the markets if, in fact, the Fed is going somewhere at their subsequent meeting, usually in September. So I would say let's look at it from this vantage point. How many inflation reports do we have? How many jobs reports do we have between now and August? And is that going to be enough for Powell to signal that we could be seeing that first rate cut in September? I think that's what the markets are thinking. I think that's a reasonable case scenario at this stage of the game. But, this is a rate cutting cycle that's getting set up, not by necessarily economic weakness. It's just that disinflation has gotten to the point where the Fed is in a comfort zone. We hear that a lot. Are we comfortable? Are we confident? And I think if we continue to see inflation moving as we've had and the jobs numbers being at 4.1% or so, creating 200,000 jobs a month, I think that's enough. I think that bar is set so that Powell would feel that's enough for us to feel confident we can cut rates.
Speaking of confidence, I guess, I know what questions to ask Kevin because I work with them every single day. Give me a confidence estimate in your view on these FOMC projections. You're living in the FOMC projections of late. What are they getting right? What are they getting wrong?
Well, I mean, the dot plot is certainly something that they tend to get wrong. I think that became obsolete pretty quickly. In June, they went from 3 rate cuts down to 1. To us, a more reasonable case scenario is say, let's go with 2 at this stage of the game. The Fed's own official forecasting is no better than any economist out there. So I think when you're looking at it from the perspective of GDP, inflation, unemployment, that's what they officially forecast at 4 out of their 8 meetings. They're constantly revising it just like anybody else. So I think what we're looking at is a data dependent Fed that makes it a data dependent bond market. And that's where we go from here.
All right. Well, this is the 4 to 6 minute big macro snapshots. Kevin Flanagan, Jeff Weniger, you're in the Wisdom Tree channel on YouTube. So make sure you do what everybody said, like and subscribe, the usual routine, so that you can get hits on us and catch us every time we record. For Kevin, I'm Jeff. That'll do it. Bye-bye.